welcome back to the Dad Chronicle. I'm your host, Alex Albisu. This is episode 143, and today I'm sitting across from my bride. Hello.
Hey.
That's Deanna. Today is a little bit of an interesting episode. This is one that we've been contemplating doing for a little while now. The topic of losing a pet is always something that's really a challenge for anybody, really. But the topic of losing a pet with young kids in your life and how to navigate that was something that we knew we'd have to face. And unfortunately, we had to face that this past year. September 1st of 2024, we lost Baylee. If you recall, Baylee, I featured her in one of the first episodes of the Dad Chronicle. Actually, it was the very first episode of the Dad Chronicle. We talked about her really being our first baby. And in a lot of ways, I think a lot of parents feel that way when they have a dog that they lose. It is, in a lot of ways, like losing a child. Some people say, oh, it's not the same. And, to each their own. Losing Baylee was pretty devastating. So today we thought it would be helpful to kind of sit down in sort of a little bit of a kind of a casual environment, talk a little bit about the experience of losing a dog and then also losing a dog with young kids and that reaction. We'll hear from the kids a little bit later. But first, I think both of us are tearing up a little bit as we talk about this because it was really hard. A little bit of background. September 1st, we were coming home from a tough week as it was because unfortunately your dad's father had passed away. So we were driving back from Ohio and we had our buddy Chris watching the dogs and said everything was fine. And we get home and both dogs are excited to see us.
We'd been gone for a week.
It was about a week.
Long week as well.
Yeah, so it was about a week, and we were starting to get unpacked and settled in, and then we noticed that Baylee had just kind of collapsed.
Yeah, she got really lethargic in the family room, and she had actually had an accident.
Yeah, we noticed like, oh no, and like she wasn't getting up. I remember having to kind of like pull her to the deck because I was afraid she kept going, and I was like, oh no, like we can't get this all over our floor. But she ended up just sitting out on the deck, panting really, really hard. We knew that we had to act fast. So without going into, like a tremendous amount of detail, I'll highlight a couple of the pieces that we that were kind of significant to that evening. I will say that if you're traumatized or, if this is triggering at all for you as a pet owner to listen about what it's like for a pet to pass away, this is what we're going to talk about this episode. So fair warning. We had Baylee, we called the vet. It was, there's an emergency vet open. I actually rushed her over. You were with the kids until we had coverage for them. And then we ended up both meeting at this place with Baylee. And I remember you being on your way, and Baylee and I were just sitting in this room together. Baylee, you have to understand, she was both of our dogs, but she was very much my dog. When we saw her, I remember meeting her and being like, who's that? Like, that is... Like something like connected me with her.
Yeah.
Just like how Finn sat on your lap, like when we first met him, Baylee very much like there was like some kind of a connection I felt with her.
Yeah. And I think the thing to remember is we got Baylee 2 months after we got married.
Yeah. It was 2 months. It was November
1st.
November 1st of
2013.
And so it was just me and Baylee sitting there. They had done some tests, and I remember leaning down and saying to her, hey, whatever it is that you're going through right now, it's okay if you need to go. And I remember seeing her panting and breathing really, really hard. And then all of a sudden it was like she just relaxed. Like I gave her permission to just relax. She was having really bad like her heart rate was really rough. She was having a lot of trouble breathing, and it was like whatever it was just kind of like it's like permission almost, or she was just like concerned that there was that she'd have to leave us in some kind of a way. But it was almost like me telling her, hey, it's okay, kind of gave her that ability to just relax and let her body do what it was needing to do. We ultimately had to take her to another animal hospital. She ended up going into cardiac arrest in the back of the car. When I was driving her to that place, I walked in holding her, all 65 pounds of dog, and with a blanket. She was limp. I'll never forget that feeling of holding her like that. And ended up taking her back, ran in, yelled for help. And ultimately, they brought us to the back saying she was essentially brain dead. There was a lot of buildup of liquid in her chest cavity. She ended up it's a very common thing for labs. She's a lab mix. It was very common for dogs like her to deal with this sort of a thing towards the end of their life. And it's unfortunate. I mean, she was, 12 when she passed?
She was born in 2012.
Yeah, 2012. So she was 11. She was going to be turning 12. So it was pretty devastating to just see her there, and we had to say goodbye. Well, luckily we were there to be able to say goodbye as they, let her drift off to sleep. We were able to do a couple of things for her. We were able to get some paw print sort of things that like memorial things that were, one was a clay imprint of her paw. Another one was an ink of her paw, which I ended up getting tattooed on my side. And she was cremated, and we were able to spread her ashes in this area where I used to take her for walks all the time, next to this kind of like a little river bend next to our first house that we bought when we first got married. I share a lot of this in detail because I think it's important to know the reality of what that experience is like as parents, and the ways that we, just kind of rewinding for a second, the ways that we kind of started to manage the situation with our kids. I illustrate it because there was a lot going on. So let's talk a little bit about like when situations like this happen, and you might be sitting at home thinking, I've got an old animal or whatever it is, and we might be sitting here with a small infant or whatever, and how do I go about, making sure that my kid is good in the moment? We'll talk about how kids cope and how you deliver the news and so on, but let's start there. So Deanna, you were very much kind of in that mode as I was taking care of Baylee. What were some of the first things that you did?
Yeah, I mean, when it first all happened, we didn't tell them anything was going on. They honestly didn't notice. They had been in a car with us for most of the day, and so they were just happy to kind of be out and watching TV and hanging out. So when it got to the point that I realized I needed to come see you, I called some friends of ours. I had called my parents, who also made their way over, and they basically just made it fun. I think we told them that Baylee wasn't feeling well, and that Daddy had to take Baylee to the vet, and Mommy was going to go and check in on everything. That was really the only thing that was told to them. And then when my parents had found out kind of what was going on, my mom made sure that the kids went to bed before we got home, so that we didn't really have to have that conversation with them that night, which was hard to know that we had to deliver the news the next day, and kind of what all came with that. And if they would notice, you kind of wonder these things, like, our kids typically get up before us, And they go downstairs and they're hanging out. The dogs typically stay in our room, but you just never know what they're going to pick up on.
Yeah.
And again, you have to think that the kids were born into these dogs being at the house already, right? They've never known life without Baylee or Finn. And so, again, you just kind of wonder, like, are they going to notice? What questions are they going to ask? Aria was 7 and Jake was 3, almost 4.
Yeah.
So they can very much, they know what's going on. They have an idea. They can sense it. So I honestly don't really remember telling them. I think it was all a blur. I don't know if that's something you remember.
Yeah, I kind of do. I remember just the mindset. So, well, first of all, backing up real quick before we talk about that, I think one of the big things is just if you have a support system.
Yeah.
I mean, this goes around parenting, but especially in this situation, I think having a support system where our friends were able to come over and then, Deanna's parents were able to come over and kind of take over.
After my parents had also just gotten home from Ohio,
dealing with everything that we were dealing with there too, with losing your grandfather. But I think the saving grace was having a support system. If you don't have a support system, see if you can find a contingency plan for situations like this. Maybe just if you think back to like when you had a kid and some of the things I've talked about, it's, have some kind of a plan in place and people that you can reach out to. It's kind of a similar situation I found thinking about this situation, right? And then when we had to tell them in the morning, there was a big gap in first of all, it was silent in the house because Baylee was always making a lot of noise.
Yeah.
That was kind of weird. Finn was in a bit of a funk. He understood what was going on.
Yeah, normally with the dogs, whenever one would leave to go to the vet, the other one, whenever Baylee would leave to go to the vet for any reason, Finn would panic. If it was the other way around, Baylee could kind of care less. So.
Typical big sister sort of energy, like pesky little brother. But he definitely had that.
He was not
concern.
Yeah, he was not freaking out when she left. It was very much he knew.
Yeah.
And almost like he was trying to tell us when we first walked in the door too.
Yeah. Both dogs, like you could tell Baylee waited for us to get home.
100%.
For that, which is wild. Like we don't deserve dogs, but anyway, so like, the next day we told the kids, and I think the way that I thought about really putting everything kind of together for them was being direct and asking questions. So I think some of it was, hey, we need to talk to you about Baylee. Unfortunately, we had to say goodbye to her yesterday. She was very sick. Mm-hmm. And we didn't go into graphic detail about anything like we shared here on the show just now, but I think it was important for us to just be able to say she passed away. She was comfortable. Mommy and Daddy were there to say goodbye to her. And Aria, who's 7 at the time, I think took it a bit hard at first. You could tell like she was trying to fight back a little bit of the tears. She had just come from a funeral trying to understand what death was in the first place. She asked me like, why isn't Grandpa getting up when we were there at the funeral home? So we spent, if you think about how kind of poetic some of that experience was for them leading into the loss of the dog that they've known their whole life, like that was a moment that almost like they were prepared for because, when I explained that she had died, we explained that, in our household, we're Catholic, we believe in God and we believe in an afterlife. And we believe that, Grandpa was up there waiting for Baylee and, both of them are in heaven, with each other and keeping each other company and so on. And that was kind of a way of us trying to just be able to explain like a concept. So we just don't understand death at all, right? Like, how do you explain that to a young kid at that age?
Yeah, I think what we had gone through the week before definitely helped. Aria, is truly a questioning human, as she jokes that she's a question girl.
Yeah.
And so even down to the questions during my grandfather's funeral of like during the wake, why is grandpa wearing glasses if his eyes are closed? Right.
Yeah.
So stuff like that is kind of what goes on in Aria's head. So she definitely was like processing, asking questions. We talked about like the Rainbow Bridge and understanding what that is with dogs. And that I think settled her a lot and understanding kind of what happened. Jake, on the other hand, was a little bit more slow to grasp what was going on.
Yeah, he didn't quite understand it. And what's interesting, and this is especially interesting of like how people deal with grief in general, and especially a young kid at 3 years old who has no idea what this is. This is his first time really experiencing this. He kept saying, "Where's Baylee?" Like days after, he would say, "Where's Baylee?" And I have to say, "Well, she's not coming back, buddy. She's in heaven, and she's with us in our hearts and our memories and everything like that. But she's gone." And I remember the first time that really sunk for him. Like he started to tear up a little bit, like realizing that she wasn't going to be there.
Yeah, I think the thing too, kind of what you were saying about being direct, we found that with the kids, like, unfortunately, we had to use the hard words of, she's dead.
Yeah.
We couldn't say she's passed on.
Yeah, we couldn't say, like, she's gone to the farm, or
just she's gone. Like, we couldn't say
like,
any of that. It had to be very direct so that they understood, like, yeah, she's not coming back.
Right. And that, when you have that state of finality, I think for young kids, I don't know if we did it right. I don't know. It depends on your kid, but that at least was what worked and how we decided to do it with our kids. To this day, the kids like to do their bedtimes, prayers and stuff, and Jakey consistently prays for Baylee.
Yep.
And that's extremely sweet. And it kind of shows he still remembers her. I mean, he was only 3 when she passed, and we have pictures of her around the house and all this other stuff, but she is still in our kids' hearts. And I think that us delivering it the way we did, I'm honestly like really proud of how we handled that. When we got her, knowing that eventually, hopefully we would have kids, and here we are, and thinking about how we were going to handle the pet death situation was always a really, really hard thing for me to grasp. I think that the biggest lesson here is trust your gut. Your kid.
Yeah.
Come at it as the adult. There's going to be a time where you grieve.
Yeah, and I think it was good for them to see us sad. They knew we weren't. And
exactly. And let them see you sad and be there for your kids.
Yeah.
They are still your kids. You can't put that burden on them. Let them see you sad, of course. Like, you don't want to be emotionally unavailable or whatever. My kids saw me tear up. I'm sure that seeing their dad cry was not the thing that they would have expected. That is something that I'm glad that I did in front of them. I'm glad that they know how to emotionally and responsibly respond to a traumatic situation like that.
Yeah, I think it definitely helped them. I think, like you said, we know our kids well enough to know what they can handle, and we found that our kids just need that directness. They really don't do well with kind of beating around the bush. Like, you really just have to go straight down the line with them. And I think what's interesting about that is we actually opened up a line of communication more with them in regards to that. Like, there'll be times where we will just be driving down the road. Nothing, it just randomly pops out of Jake that he'll be like, Bailey's dead.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, buddy, she is. And I think I'm also proud of how we handled those moments, because I think we could easily shut him down if we wanted to. But I think in order for him to fully continue processing, he has to acknowledge those emotions that he's feeling.
Yeah, it's not a taboo thing. You know, like, I mean, death is a part of life. It's healthy to grieve. And I think that we as parents have an opportunity, you know, no matter how you were brought up, if it was in a situation where maybe you repressed how you felt about some of these things, or lived in a household where people weren't emotionally available, you have an opportunity to set a new course for your, on behalf of and for your kids. Consider how you respond in a situation like this to show up well for your kid. And on top of that, Jake is also saying, like, I don't want Finney to die.
Yeah.
And, you know, Finn is getting old. He's having a lot of old man moments lately.
Yep.
With a lot of arthritis, and he's got his cough. We call it his old man cough. Sometimes it just,
Yeah.
you know, make his stupid, like, gross noise. And he is getting older.
Yeah.
And the kids realize what that means. And so I think part of it is leaving room for the kids to feel how they're feeling about that thing that is inevitably going to happen, and learning how to not repress, but deal with it.
And I think part of it is too, not so when Jake makes those comments, because part of what he will pray for sometimes is, you know, for Finn not to die or stuff like that. And it's not shutting him down and saying, like, don't worry about that right now.
Yeah.
It's actually just kind of, we just kind of tell him, like, we know, bud, but it will happen someday.
Yeah, and let's be appreciative of the time that we have with him right now, right? And he said, "Yeah, Daddy, yeah." You know, like those are such that's a really important way to go about how you just prepare your kids for that inevitable thing. There's a lot of blessings that come along with having a dog, especially with young kids and a family. They're such an essential part of the experience. Highly, highly recommend it. Even with these really tough situations that are part of it, right? Now, and with that, Finn was in a bit of a funk. I mean, when Baylee passed, I remember he was a little bit depressed, which is fair. Like, he's only known life with us with Baylee. We had her first, and then he came along when we decided we weren't ready to have kids. We got another dog. With that in mind, a couple months. Yeah.
This month is we've had Finn for 10 years now.
Yeah, for 10 years this month. And so with that in mind and kind of knowing what he needed, and then also I think we kind of felt ready from a family perspective in November of last year. I remember sending a picture of a dog to Deanna, and her name was Hera it was Hera, right? Yeah, Hera.
It was Hera.
Hera.
Yeah.
Just to put it in context, there's this whole litter of puppies. They had a whole bunch of Star Wars inspired names. So the sisters were like Padme and Ahsoka.
I think you originally sent me Padme.
I sent Padme because Padme had these blue eyes, and she was the runt of the litter, but she ended up being somebody had claimed her, I guess. But we saw Hera, and we said, "Wow, she's really cute. Let's." I saw the little eyes and thinking
freckles on her
the
nose.
little freckles on the nose. And I was like, "This is a cute looking dog." The mix, it looked like the sort of mix that we would be comfortable with. We obviously didn't know, but the story was actually one of the things that kind of pointed me in that direction. It was a litter of puppies that were found. Not abandoned because the mother was there, but it was like, what was it, like 11 puppies?
Yeah.
Or something?
The mother had 11 puppies. Yeah.
It's a huge litter. And we found this organization down in Georgia, South Carolina area that were taking care of them. And to make an already long story short, we decided after meeting her over Zoom to adopt Hera, and now her name is Sadie.
Yeah, and she was a, brand new puppy. We figured that with Finn, that would be the best decision, because he's one of the most loving dogs in the world. He can also be pretty territorial when it comes to other dogs. So we figured a puppy would be good for him to try and nurture and teach the ways of the household. What's funny now is she's going to be 1 next month, and she's like bigger than him.
She's like twice the size. So we got her, and she was this tiny little thing. And I remember picking her up, and this is actually kind of a funny piece of it all. This organization that operates down in the southeastern part of the United States makes it an effort to travel dogs that are adopted up to where they need to go, all up and down the East Coast. So we met this this couple that was, helping to transport the dogs. They were going all the way up to Maine. We live in Virginia, and they were like, "We're gonna let you know when we're getting close with the dog."
And it was like literally like you just have to be ready to.
You just have to be ready.
Yeah,
but yeah. It was no matter what time of the day, no matter what day.
I think originally they were telling us they'd be in the area like Friday around 12:30 a.m.
And it was about 12:30, 1 o'clock.
No, I think it was closer to like 11:30.
Oh, was it? Oh, yeah, that's right.
because
They
they
showed up early.
Yeah,
That's right. So we darted out to a dark Wendy's parking lot off of Interstate 95.
Which was what, about 45 minutes from our house?
It was something like that. And they ended up meeting us in this parking lot, handed us this little puppy. And I mean, it's a very legit organization.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling bad because I'm forgetting the name of the organization. Do you remember?
Final Victory.
Final Victory. Thank you. They bring us this little puppy, and we meet her, the sweetest disposition. We get her in the car. She's whining the whole way home, just sitting on your lap.
Yep.
And we let her meet Finn.
Yeah.
And this was the big risk because we didn't meet her.
Yeah.
We didn't meet her physically. We met her over Zoom and other stuff like that.
That was one of the things we had discussed when we first started looking at dogs. Is I was really concerned about committing to this dog that was from out of state. We had tried to find other dogs that were in state that we could have Finn meet, because when we first got Finn, we made sure to bring Baylee to that adoption center, which was the same one she came from, and make sure that they met. And
that they were jive.
Yeah, and that was really important. And then to not do that for Finn kind of felt wrong. But every time we tried to set up to meet these local dogs, there was something not working.
It's so weird how fate, destiny, whatever it is, works, because everything just lined up with Sadie. Mm-hmm. And I remember every single time we became buddies with the guy who was holding on to all these puppies, and we were texting back and forth. And that was the other thing. Like the guy, his name, shout out to Bruce, Final Victory Rescue. He was a rock star and was really good about keeping updates, even calling her Sadie, because we told him that was going to be the name. He was so good about saying, hey, here's kind of the latest update. Here's a quick picture. She's doing great. We had her spayed. Everything's going okay there. Everything felt right. Like in your gut, it's so true. Like just follow your gut.
Yeah.
If that's not so true, it was destiny. And here we are.
But I will never forget that first night we had her, because typical puppy stuff happens, right? And I just remember us having to get up she slept through the night because she was at an age where she did that. But you could tell there was a couple times where Finn just would look at us and would be like, you understand how Baylee felt that first night we brought you home now?
It's funny. Yeah. He's been having his big brother moments dealing with a pesky little sister. But honestly, it's probably the best thing that we ever did, not just for us, but for him, because he's now, he's got a whole lot more energy. He's keeping up with a puppy. There's, it's active in the house again. It's good for everybody. So there was this, it's not like we've replaced or filled the void, and it's just, there's a sense of completedness that we're back to.
Yeah. And the kids had no idea. Yeah. We kept it a secret from them. So they found out the next morning, and Sadie has really become like Aria's like buddy.
Yeah. It's cute to see how where Baylee and I kind of glommed onto each other, and Finn and Deanna glommed onto each other. like Sadie definitely glommed on us, but like there is a connection between those two girls, between Sadie and Aria.
Well, I'll never forget when Aria, later in the day, when she first saw her, and we have a pink collar for Sadie, and Aria kind of looked at me. We were outside, letting her outside. And Aria looked at me and she's like, "She has a pink collar." And I said, "Yeah, she does." And she goes, "Does that mean like pink is like my favorite color?" And I said, "I know." And she goes, "Does that mean she's like my dog?" And I was like, "No, honey, like Sadie is our dog, like our family dog." But it has been good too, because Aria was starting to get in the habit of feeding Baylee and Finn sometimes. And now she knows how to take Sadie outside. She knows how to take care of Finn. She knows how to like do all of the feedings. So it's been good to see her also like try and play with Sadie and teach Sadie. I think the thing is, Sadie's a big dog.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking, she's 11 months old and 63 pounds last time we weighed her.
Yeah, she's more than 65 pounds.
Really?
Yeah, based on the latest vet visit. So, yeah, she's going to keep growing. So she's a big dog, but she's gentle, especially with the kids. And Aria is learning how to be responsible with the dog. And it's not just feeding; it's learning how to, train a dog. Assert yourself within the confines of what it means to like own a dog and be responsible in that way. So while Sadie is bigger than Aria, Sadie respects the heck out of both of our kids. And has just fit right in. So we're extremely blessed and grateful that it all worked out. It was a risk, but I think that it was well worth it.
I'd agree.
Except the gas. She farts a lot. We figured it out. It's the food, and it was.
I think she's on the right track now. But yeah, the stomach issues on this dog.
Oh my god, if you lit a match in our house, man, it would blow up. But anyway, but she's good now. We're fine. So we will let the kids chime in here. Let's let them say a couple of words. Hi, Aria.
Hi, Daddy.
All right, this is Aria's podcast debut on the Dad Chronicle. You were featured, without you even knowing it, you were featured on the Dad Chronicle when you were just a baby, and now we're talking about Baylee. What is your favorite memory of Baylee?
This is the funniest one. When she was when she first saw me, it was really funny because you know what she did? She said, "Nah, I'm not gonna hang out with her."
Yeah, you're talking about the video of Baylee seeing you for the first time when you came home from the hospital.
Yep.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah. There was a good. We had this video of Baylee and Finn. They were staying at my sister's house, and they were. We bring Aria into the house to see, my sister and my brother-in-law and the dogs all come running up, and they want to smell and they want to see who's this new baby. Was that fun?
Yeah, that was really funny.
And you've known Baylee for your whole life, so and then we came to the point where now Baylee is no longer with us. How are you feeling missing Baylee and everything?
Well, kind of sad.
Yeah, it's kind of hard, isn't it? It's hard to lose a pet. What are some of the ways that you try to remember Baylee?
Well, I try to remember her by playing with Fanny, because that kind of reminds me of when I played with Baylee.
Yeah. And with Finny, was Finny a little bit sad when Baylee passed away? And you did a really good job of playing with Finn to help him feel better. Yeah,
Finny. I can tell that Finny's like sad because because I see his eyes like drooped down, so that's how I know he's.
Yeah, he's a little sad, huh? Now, with Baylee passing away, we only had
one dog. That is
one
Finn.
dog. Yeah.
But now we got a new dog. It's a puppy.
Yeah, she's a puppy. It's Sadie. So what was it like for you when we brought Sadie home?
Well, when you guys brought her home, it was like a dream come true.
Yeah.
Because I've always wanted a puppy in our house.
Yeah. What was the first thing that you thought when you saw Sadie sitting in my lap?
I thought she was really cute, and when she was sitting in your lap, it was really cute of her face looking at me. And when you guys told me about her, it was so cute because you told me that she had little freckles on her nose, and then I've never seen a dog have freckles on their nose.
Yeah, she was pretty cute as a puppy. Now she's a big puppy, huh?
Oh, yeah.
She's a big puppy.
Yeah.
What sort of ways do you think Sadie and Baylee are similar?
Well, she's kind of like a mix of Baylee and Finn, so that's why I think that those two are alike.
Yeah, she's kind of big like Baylee was, and then she's got the same color.
But there's an opposite side where Sadie's crazy and Baylee it was really calm.
That's true. Yeah, especially as Baylee got older. Right?
Yep.
Is there anything else that you'd like to say about Baylee?
Well, Baylee was a good girl, and she was chill when me and my brother were growing up. And when she first saw me and Jakey, she realized that I think she realized that she still liked us and loved us.
Yeah, she always loved you guys. She liked to be by herself.
Yeah.
She liked to be by herself and be left alone, but she loved you guys. Right?
Even with Finn.
Yeah, even with Finn being a
she,
pesky
she
little
doesn't
brother.
she doesn't like any time when Finn goes all up of her, and she's like, get away from me,
I know,
dude.
he likes
get
to,
away.
He wanted to wrestle all the time, and now Finn is getting wrestled by Sadie, and she's
Yep.
like, get away. Well, thank you, Aria, for sharing what you thought of the experience of losing Baylee and how we still remember her, and then also sharing your love and excitement for Sadie. Can you say goodbye to the audience?
Bye, and thank you, Daddy.
Jakey, welcome to the Dad Chronicle. This is Jake's first time. Say hi, Jake.
Hi.
All right, you're getting a little close to the microphone. Just stay right there. Good job, buddy. All right, now, wanted to talk to you about Baylee. What's your favorite memory of Baylee?
Petting her.
Yeah, she was soft. What color was Baylee?
Black.
Yeah.
Like these microphones.
Yeah, like the microphones. That's right. And what was your what about Baylee was so much fun?
Playing with her.
Yeah.
Petting her. That's all.
Yeah. Were you sad when Baylee died?
Yes.
But how do you remember Baylee? Like, what sort of ways do you continue to think about Baylee?
But Mom was sad too.
Yeah, Mommy and Daddy were both pretty sad.
And my sister.
Yeah, and your sister was pretty sad too. What sort of ways do you think about Baylee today?
Playing with her.
Yeah, you remember playing with her, and do you pray for Baylee?
Sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, we sometimes like to say a prayer for Baylee, right? And when you think of Baylee, how does that make you feel? Does it make you
sad?
Does it make you feel sad? Yeah, yeah. But do you but what else makes you think of Baylee when you're here at the house?
At restaurants, I do feel for her. I do feel for her to pet.
Oh yeah, you miss petting her? Yeah. It's pretty sad, isn't it? He's shaking his head yes, because it's a little sad. But Jakey, I remember when Baylee passed away, you were having some trouble understanding what happened to Baylee. where is Baylee now?
And on the Rainbow Bridge.
Yeah, on the Rainbow Bridge. That's a good way to think about it. Yeah, she's in heaven and she's with us in our hearts, right? And now we have Sadie. What's Sadie like?
Playing, catching us.
Yeah, she likes to chase you guys.
Yeah. And when we scare each other, when we scare Sadie, she just does that.
Oh yeah,
and
she
it's
puts
so
her,
funny.
She puts her paws out and she sticks her butt up in the air and she gets all playful, right? Like she likes to jump around.
No, it's this.
Oh well, the people who are listening can't see this, so let's try to describe it.
Sadie just gets scared when we scare her.
Oh, okay. You guys like to play scary with her, like play like you guys are scared.
When we play with the ghosts, when we play ghosts with my sister, she just grabs the blanket that was on our head, and then she.
No, she growled. Rah, rah, rah. Yeah. What So is Sadie a good addition to our family?
A little.
A little. You miss Baylee though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
Do you know
yeah.
How it's little?
How? Tell me.
It's because she poops in the house and pees in the house.
Who, Sadie does?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Because she's a puppy, right? She's a big puppy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the challenges of having a puppy. But you're learning how to take care of a puppy, right?
Oh, yeah.
And do you remember taking care of Baylee and feeding her?
No.
You don't? Well, you did. Isn't that cool?
No, I don't.
You don't? Well, Jacob, thanks for sharing some of your memories about Baylee. Is there anything more that you would like to say?
No, thanks.
No? Can you say goodbye to everybody listening?
Bye.
So with that, Deanna, I know this was not a fun episode to do.
No, sorry, I cried pretty much the whole time.
I know. I
tried to stop,
somebody.
but I couldn't.
I know you did great, and I needed somebody to be my wingman for this conversation because it hit both of us really hard, and we wanted to do our best to honor Baylee, to honor the experiences that we had with her. Just after we got married, bringing her home. She very much became our first child in a lot of ways and set us on a bit of a path to leading to where we are now physically and with our family and so on. So it was a tremendous blessing. No matter what challenges you face with owning a pet and the rough times, the sadness that ultimately comes down to, pets die before we do, unless you own a parrot or something. It's worth it. It's very much worth it.
Yeah, it is.
So go hug your furry friend if you're listening to this. And if you'd like to chime in on anything that we talked about, you feel free to email the dadchroniclepodcast@gmail.com. And as a reminder, if you'd like to support anything that we're doing here, you can head over to supportadad.com and become a patron. Just $1 a month even helps to support the operational costs and the tissues that Deanna's going through.
Sorry.
It's okay. Supportadad.com. And if you like to listen to any other episodes, find us on any of those podcatchers out there. Is that what they're calling them these days? Podcatchers?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Anyway, thedadchronicle.com can get you there as well. All right, friends. My guest today has been my wife, Deanna.
Thanks for having me and letting me cry.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. And to everybody else out there, be good to yourselves, be good to others, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
If you like this show, check out more great content at incastmedianetwork.com.